Namaya Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhuvaya You. Yes.
What is the noise, folks? Haribol?
Hare Krishna. Pranama Pranam Satyaruji's feet.
Okay. Who has a record of where we left off last time?
We were through with the chapter 8.
I think we're on number 9.
Yes, please.
9.
You're on 9.
A lot of noise coming from somebody. Really bad.
But Stephen Hallow, I think he's outside.
Sure. There's still a lot more. And nobody has their microphone on. And attendance is slow. Okay, we'll just wait a couple minutes. Let me just run to the restroom.
Hare Krishna. Hope we are doing well. Is it?
Krishna, your mic is making a very terrible
My mic. Oh, really? Is it like that of Ateli?
Yes.
You can hear clear now. Can you hear clear now?
Yes, it's clear now.
Let me try it again. Is it making the It's making the noise again? Oh, and I cannot use it today. Is it okay?
Send me a message this morning. I was busy.
Madam, let the quality of our lives be measured by our growth, not our possession.
It's loaded now.
Too
much loaded and not much, so much time. Yeah. Oh God.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
I have to get a phone call. I'll be with you in a minute.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, your mic is muted. Hare Krishna Maharaj, your mic is muted.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Your mic is muted, please. Maybe Maharaj is on a phone call. I guess. I guess Maharaj was mentioning you have to receive a call. Maybe it's on a phone call.
Okay, now I'm back. Oops. So, Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yen Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Chap Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raguna Tadmitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Nama Upadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaur Avani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunivadi Paschatya Desatani Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tushe Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. So we're reading Rupa Goswami's book. Nice prayer by Rupa Goswami. Look it up here. It's called Asha Bandhu. That means great hope. We may not feel like anything's happening, like we're making progress, but we have to have hope, great hope, trust in Krishna. Of course, when I want to find something, it doesn't. Okay, here it is. This is from Nectar Devotion. Asha Bandha means to continue to think, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service. I'm sure that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. That means, chanting with faith that it's going to work. Prayer. I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love for Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. In the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I'm not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Ballabha Krishna, maintainer and beloved of the gopis.
I just joined on my laptop, so I'll transfer the host to the laptop.
I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to prove lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain because I think myself quite incompetent. That's Rupa Goswami's perfect humility, but in teaching us how to approach Krishna. How to serve. All right, welcome everybody who's there. Salika is the host. This is text number 9 of the Nectar of Instruction. And I hope everybody has been studying what we did before, especially those first 3 verses, or even 4, but the pushings, the 6 things favorable for devotional service and the 6 things unfavorable. And then more, we'll have to go back over all the verses. So, Vaikuntad Janitovara Madhu Puri Tatrapi Rasotsavat Vrindaranyam Udada Pani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokula Te Premamri Taplavanat Kuryadasya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Na Kaha. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasalila pastimes. Superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and will recite various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Shri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Shri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve the divine Radha Kund, situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? Ranking the places. Okay, purport by His Divine Grace. I'll read one paragraph and then someone else. The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. Spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared at Mathura. The interior forest of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forest Dwadasa Vana, such as Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. The interior forest is considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these, we're down here like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Braj, that from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radhakund at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there that love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radhakund because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani, Rati Vilasa. Now, there's 12 main forests. Indradutta Maharaj was fortunately stuck in Vrindavan for a long time because of the travel restrictions. So we started really studying, and I don't know how many hundreds of sub-forests there are. And, you know, each one has some kind of special pastime. That's all around. Many are just right around Govardhan Hill. The Rudra, Vana, I don't know, there's so many different ones within the other forests or even separate. And so it's very, very special. So here we're starting to hear the, you know, something that's we should know, and not that we want to run off to we'll learn, but we don't want to think, let me run off to Radhakund. We have to, you know, get there step by step. But we should know. And it's not just the exact place, it's a matter of consciousness. Krishna consciousness does not depend on the physical place. Prabhupada said many times, I'm not in New York, I'm in Vrindavan. I'm not in Los Angeles, you know, wherever we happen to be. So who would like to read next?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Alika, is that you making so much noise?
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Rasa
Okay.
Vilas, your
Maharaj.
microphone is working nicely.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, no, it's
It's okay.
So I read. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Brajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Rajakunda. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Rajakunda. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Rajakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed first by the 6 Goswamis such as Rupa and Raghunath Dasa. Presently, there is a large lake known as Rajakunda there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given such stress to Rajakunda because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Rajakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence will do so. The importance of Rajakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava Sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Rajakund. Thus, Rajakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
right. Now, of course, now there are many Sahaja people living in Radhakund and not living the way Raghunath Das Goswami lived. So, does everybody know how Radhakund appeared? Does anybody know how Radhakund appeared? How that came about? Would you like to hear it?
Yes, Maharaj, please can you narrate to us?
Okay. So The place is called Aristogram. The area is called Aristogram. And that's where Krishna killed Aristasura. Now, who knows what form was Aristasura in? Haribol?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, what was the form of Aristasura?
The bull.
He take the form of a cow.
A boy cow, though. Bull.
The bull.
Bull. Vicious bull. But when a bull is angry, they're very frightening. So he was creating such a disturbance. He was so big, and the ground was shaking, and the noise from his snorting, and the girls were having miscarriages, and all kinds of things were happening. So Krishna fought with him. Yeah, and he just played with him like a toy. He picked him up and threw him really far away. And then he came back, and then he dragged him around, and finally he just smashed him on the ground and stomped on him. So Radharani said, Krishna, you killed a bull. That's very sinful. You're killing a cow. That's the most sinful thing. And Krishna said, no, it wasn't a bull. It's a demon, you know. No, you killed a bull. She said, I want anything to do with you ever again. I don't want to see you. So Krishna, was begging that what can I do, to atone for this? So Radharani thought, okay, she thought she had Krishna. And she said, you need to bathe in all the holy places of the universe and to get purified. So Krishna just laughed. And he called for all the holy rivers in the universe to come. So they all came, they were introducing themselves, who they are, which holy river. And while that was going on, Krishna was digging in the ground with his foot. So he dug like a little hole. And Radharani was bewildered. So they all were praying, and Krishna, what can I do? How can I serve you? And Krishna said, you just flow into my little pond here, my place. So all the holy rivers of the universe, they all filled up this hole that Krishna made. And then Krishna took bath, and then he said, Radharani, okay, now I'm clean. So she was frustrated, She thought that she had got one over on Krishna, but she didn't. And so she said, she started digging. She got all her gopi friends, and they took their bangles, and they were digging and digging. And then Krishna said, where are you going to get the water for the earth? And she said, they would go to broke, between. So the water from his lake went into Radharani's lake. And then everybody was happy, and those became the major place of Radha and Krishna meeting after that. And became the most holy. Before that, it was when Lord Chaitanya got to Vrindavan, most of the holy places of Krishna's pastimes, and nobody knew where they were. Govardhan Hill, they knew, because it's easy to find. Yamuna. So he was looking for Radhakunda, nobody knew. Then he just in the middle of the field, he found this little pond and took bath and made tilak, and people were wondering, what is this sannyasi doing, taking a bath in this little pond in the middle of the rice field or whatever field it was. So that's how Radhakund came to be. And then, so many great devotees, especially Raghunath Das, he lived there. He was a total renounced, though. There are people now that live there, but they're not really renounced. We don't want to talk about it. But Raghunath lived there, and Krishnadas Kaviraj, and other Goswamis stayed there sometime, but not all the time, because most of them moved around a lot. So that's Radhakund. So we should strive, we want to be there to be absorbed in serving Radha and Krishna at Radhakund. So that's a very exalted stage. So that's why we have the first, 8 chapters can work our way up. So we have to study and analyze and Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krota Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Pasta Vegam, how are we doing? Are we completely aloof from the pushings of the mind and anger, Vacho Vegam, Manas, and the mind and the words, the mouth? Do we mouth off when we afterward regret it? Do we eat things that we shouldn't have eaten? We have to work on we have to be qualified. Otherwise, even if we go to Radhakund physically, it's not that hard to go there. It's easy to get a taxi and go there. But to actually be there, that's another thing. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Navadip Dham, they don't seem to be following that, the Vaishnava life. We see them in Mayapur, we see them in Vrindavan. Bhakti Vinod said, some people are not, they're on the Dham, they're not in the Dham. They're there physically, but they're not in it. So we want to get in, we have to surrender the Guru, serve the Guru, work our way up, follow strict sadhana, and then Krishna will take care of it. So and then you can actually be in the Holy Dham without physically being there. That's another thing, mystery of Krishna. Even you could be in such wonderful, beautiful cities as Lagos, but actually be in Vrindavan. Or you could go to Vrindavan by bus or car or rickshaw or however you get there and be in Lagos. We have our choice. Any comments or questions on that? It's a short part. Everybody's quiet. It's too elevated. Not easy to comment on this, but at least we know the story. And then, does everybody know how Radhakund got fixed up to be like it is now? The beautiful, park all around with, walls and, stone, so that everything stays the same shape and stays nice. And we can circumambulate. It's quite a big area, the 2 kundras. Know how that came about? Salika? Chaitanya Prema? Chaitanya, Another mystical story. Lord Chaitanya had asked Raghunath, I think it may be Gopal Bhatta, to do that, to make Radhakund, into a very nice place. Now there's a group of rich men in Vrindavan. They're doing that to all these coons that have been like ignored and overgrown and are muddy, digging them out and fixing everything up. So Raghunath, that was something he wanted to do because Lord Chaitanya had asked him. But he was the super most renounced person. He never had anything, you know, and he wasn't getting any money from his father anymore. He didn't inherit anything. I don't know what happened to the father's wealth, but so he was thinking what to do. There was a rich merchant, and he had gone to Badrinath in the Himalaya, and he had a big amount of money to donate to Badrinath, the deity there. So he got there, but in his dream, the Badrinath told him, "Don't give me the money here. You go and find Raghunath and give it to him." So he went. Raghunath was living there at Radhakund the whole ever since he was in Vrindavan, just chanting the time, sleeping maybe an hour or two, and eating like this much buttermilk, which is like nothing, a couple times, not every day.
Going to temple, usually I'm watching cartoon, they're playing. I'm coming here now, this one no.
So they give you this money. So Raghunath was really, amazed and happy. And this man, Raghunath, told him what to do with the money. He didn't just take the money. And this man did all the, they planned out, I guess Raghunath helped, maybe Gopal Bhatta also, and they planned out, what to do. And they dug it out and they built it, made it like, the bottom is still muddy, but they made walls and a path around it. And the Shamakund is shaped funny because there's 5 trees that were there, and they were going to cut down those trees during the work. And then Yudhishthira came in a dream to Raghunath and said, "Don't cut those trees. These 5 trees are the 5 Pandavas, and they're, doing their meditating at Radhakund." So they left those trees. So because those trees are, they had to make a different shape. Many things happen there, so we won't get into it all. Raghunath, Prabhupada didn't either. Just put water on his head. That one is, we don't have any hard and fast rule. It's up to you. All right. Shall we go to text number 10?
Yes. All right, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Please, I want to ask a question. In verse purport, where given the last part, I say, who then would give up Raja Kund and try to reside elsewhere? My question would be, those of us who are devotees but have never had a chance of traveling to maybe India to have a view or an encounter with such places, what is our fate? Because in chapter 8, it is instructed that one should always build around him the atmosphere of Vrindavan. Doesn't mean you should necessarily have to leave your body and go to reside in Vrindavan, but wherever you are, you can create atmosphere of Vrindavan around you. So Raja Kund, those of us who are far, and probably we don't have the means to travel to India to have a view of these places, what is our fate? I just want to have more insight.
If you're if someone is absorbed in worshiping, serving Krishna, then you don't have to physically be there. That's what we're trying to say. To be there, really is a spiritual thing, and that doesn't restrict it to the geography of the place on the map. It's a matter of consciousness. So it means really intimate worship, serving Radha and Krishna. And Radha and Krishna and Radha Kund, the gopis are all serving them. Everybody just wants to serve them for their pleasure. By serving Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna. And by serving the Sankirtan movement, if you get absorbed enough in it, it's spiritually value the same. Krishna see it the same, but Krishna does. That's the magic of bhakti. And Prabhupada never told everybody to get some money and just, he didn't want devotees to go live at Radhakund. We're not ready for it, to actually physically be there, especially now. There's a lot of sahajiyas there, a lot of, not proper type of bhakti going on there. Okay, so we'll read another one and see if it clears it up a little bit. Karmibhya paritohare priyataya bhaktim yayur ganinas tebhyo gana vimukta bhakti padama premaika nishtastata tebhyasta pashupula pankaja dishas tabyo pi saradika presta tadvadiyam tadiya sadasi tam nashayet ka kriti. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Gyanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent on Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kund and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhava, render devotional service to the divine couple, Shri Radha Govinda, who perform their Astakaliya Leela, their eternal 8-fold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Wow. So it's repeating the same thing. But we have to have a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, not just, a gross body trying to enjoy having a bath in Radha Kund or something. It's a total mood of renunciation, like Raghunath Das, who you can read about in many places. He lived at Radha Kund, chanted 2 lakhs of japa. That's about 128 rounds minimum. He by just his normal sadhana was to pay obeisances to 2,000 Vaishnavas or something like that. But if any other Vaishnav came, he would immediately pay obeisances and embrace them. He was eating almost nothing, just totally absorbed in the mood of the gopis, the highest gopis serving Radha and Krishna. He was not in the material world at all. Okay. At the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis, or fruitive workers. All living entities within the material world have come under the spell of Maya. This is described in the Vishnu Purana. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Chaitra Gyatya Tatapara Avidya Karma Samgyanya Tritiya Shaktir Ishite. That's referred from the Leela. Sages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into three categories, namely the namely the spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material energy. The material energy is considered to be the third class energy. The living beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification. However, in this life or after executing pious activities, in the next life, some karmis become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they're elevated to heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Chene Punye Marcha Lokam Vishanti. After exhausting the results of their so-called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Marcha Loka, the place of death. Although such persons may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the results of their pious activities are exhausted. So that one is going back to basic Bhagavad Gita, the purport. Because if you're going to somehow, for us to come to this platform of that we're talking about, we have to know these things somehow or other. It's not like we just get some injection. Some of these gurus, they say they just take away all your lust, greed, and anger and give you Krishna Bhakti, Radhakunda Prema. That doesn't work that way. We have to follow the process. We'll have to go back over the book first in the sadhana practices, because they're step by step. So anyway, it's not encouraging trying to go to heavenly planets. Who can read now?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, who is that? Salika? Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Read.
This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without the guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary systems. Such karmis are superior to the Vedic karmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Vedas and are certainly dear to Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:11, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajami aham. In whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfills the desires of the karmis and jnanis, not to speak of the bhaktas. Although the karmis are sometimes elevated to higher planetary systems, as long as they remain attached to fruitful activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Thus, those fruitive actors who do not care for the Vedic directions, Vedic karmis, are not appreciated by learned, saintly persons, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 5, text number 4. Nonam pramata kurute verikarama yad indriya priyataya aprinoti nasadu manye yata atmano yaham asan api klesheda asa adeha. Materialists who work hard like dogs and ox simply for sense gratification are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Material activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man. For as a result of such activities, one gets a material body which is full of miseries. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruitive workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they must spend the major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable positions, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life, they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as parabhava, their defeat. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 5, text number 5. Parabhavastavad aboda jata. Should I continue, Maharaj?
Well, first let's look up that verse in the Bhagavatam. That's 5.5. That's Rishabdev's teaching to his sons. Extremely important lessons in the Bhagavatam.
Should I read the complete verse, Maharaj?
Yeah. Well, I can get it. I got it quick. You know, it's in 5th canto, text 5, verse 5. Chapter 5, verse 5. Parabhavastavaddhabodhajato yavan ajigyasita atmatattvam yavat kriyasthavadidam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandhaha. As long as one does not inquire about spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. All right. So we go back. Powerful verses. Okay, someone else should read the next, unless somebody wants to comment on that paragraph. It's a long and serious paragraph.
Maharaj, Maharaj.
Yeah.
In the purport of that chapter 5, canto 5, chapter 5, text number 5, purport, Srila Prabhupada quoted a verse, Bhagavad Gita 4:37, where he said that as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burns to ashes, all reactions to material activities. So my question, Maharaj, is, I think there is also a similar verse in the Bhagavad Gita, another verse. But the question is, knowledge without bhakti. In the text itself we are reading today, Prabhupada has translated progression of from karmi to become a jnani to become a bhakta. So my question actually is, can one become a bhakta just by being inclined to knowledge, acquisition of knowledge? Can a jnani, without the devotion, become a bhakta?
No, if someone's a real jnani and he gets knowledge, then he'll become a bhakta. That's what happens. He'll learn. He will learn that everything is coming from Krishna, and he will know about bhakti, and then he'll take it up. And Krishna, if he's sincere, if his desire is to achieve the topmost goal, then Krishna will arrange for him to contact devotees. It depends on his reason, you know, but so if you really have knowledge, real knowledge is, you know, Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we're servants of Krishna. And then you'll want to know how to serve Krishna, and then you'll seek that knowledge. So yes, but it, you know, it's not the fast route. It's not the shortcut. It might take many, but bhavanam janmanam ante, jnanamam prapajate. After many births of knowledge, and one will come to Krishna, come to bhakti, when he gets full knowledge. Somebody was asking me in Japan, because they read that and they said it seems like this takes a really long time, because in Buddhism it says you can get it right away. And And I explained to him that if you've come to the point of bhakti, then you've already been through these many, many births of knowledge. And in this day and age, Lord Chaitanya is very merciful, so he's giving the bhakti freely to everyone, even if they're not looking for knowledge. All right?
Yes, Maharaj.
So, like in the purport for the Bhagavatam 555, another one that we hear a lot, Yen Yen Ravindaksha Vimukti Maninas Tvayasta Bhavad Avishuddha Buddhaya. Person who doesn't have knowledge of devotional service may think he's liberated, but he's not. Aruakrishena Param Padam Tata Ado Nadrita Yusmadangraya. They approach the impersonal Brahman, but they fall down again into material enjoyment because they have no knowledge of devotional service. So the knowledge of devotional service has to come. So a sincere Gyani will get that. A materialistic Gyani won't get that. Or maybe eventually he will get it. It could take a long time. So. All right, it's good questions. There's so much, we could discuss seminars on any one of these purports, even parts of the purport. There's so much there. But we want to know the whole picture and understand, what we should be striving for and how to get there. She's all here. All right, let's see. Daya Rupa Mataji, you can read the next paragraph.
Daya Rupa.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Go ahead.
One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul, Atma Tattva. Unless one comes to the platform of Atma Tattva, by which one understands that the soul and not the body is oneself, one remains on the platform of ignorance. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called a Gyani. The Gyani knows that fruitive activities will bind him to material existence and cause him to transmigrate from one kind of body to another. As indicated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, by the term Sarira Bandha, bound to bodily existence. As long as one maintains any conception of sense gratification, his mind will be absorbed in karma, fruitive activity, and this will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Thus, a Gyani is considered superior to a Kami because he at least refrains from the blind activities of sense enjoyment. This is the verdict of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a Gyani may be liberated from the ignorance of the Kami, unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, he is still considered to be in ignorance, avidya. Although one may be accepted as a Gyani, or one advanced in knowledge, his knowledge is considered impure because he has no information of devotional service, and thus neglects the direct worship of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a Gyani takes to devotional service, he rapidly becomes superior to an ordinary Gyani. Such an advanced person is described as Jnana Vimukta Bhakti Parama. How a Gyani takes to devotional service is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, wherein Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyananam Mam Kada Papadyate Vasudeva Hasarva Iti Samahatma Sudulabaha After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Actually, a person is wise when he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna. But such a Mahatma, great soul, is very rare. After taking to the devotional service under the regulated principle.
Hey, let's stop for a minute. Let's get out too. But you see how, it's talking about living at Radhakund, and then Prabhupada's purports are all about, the value, the real situation where we stand and how, we, not that, okay, everybody run off to Radhakund, Rupa Goswami said. Being in Radhakund means situated on this incredibly high level of consciousness. So I said the same thing that's here, Bhavanam Jamanam Ante. And here Prabhupada said, it's right there. When a person is wise, he surrenders to Krishna. But that's very rare. Many people are just satisfied to be Gyanis, to know a lot. They can get a job at the university. They can be professors. They can write books. They can get famous because they know a lot of slokas or something. But if they don't get any bhakti, they don't have any realization of Krishna. And they don't get any happiness from it either. Any comment or question there from the...
No, and it's up, Maharaj.
Some I haven't heard from. Stephen said he's not really there today.
Yeah. Stephen Allo is just listening.
Bhakti Ellie, I haven't seen in this class before.
Yeah, he has always been around, Maharaj.
Huh?
Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Krishna.
Where are you?
Ghana, Govinda Temple.
Radha Govinda. Okay.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of devotees there. Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we finished this purport. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Prabhu, can you read? I like your picture. That's how the kirtan should be. Dancing. All right. You can read?
Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
After taking to devotional service.
After taking of all these devotees.
No. Before that, the
After
paragraph before
taking to devotional service.
Or after taking to devotional service under the regulative principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous steps of great devotees like Narada, Sanaka, and Sanatan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead then recognizes him to be Supreme of Godhead in the exalted position. Of all these devotees, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna. Nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became most dejected and spent the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. This means that, in one sense, they were never actually separated from Krishna. There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Rather, Vipralamba Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional service for Krishna, the gopis are most exalted. And out of all these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel in devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Indeed, no one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just to understand her transcendental feelings. In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami gradually concludes that Srimati Radharani is the most exalted devotee of Krishna, and her kunda, lake, Shri Radha Kund, is the most exalted place. This is verified in a quotation from Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Atara Kanda 45, as quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Raj, please, should I continue?
Maharaj, I have a question there, Maharaj.
We got to go over this a little bit.
Yatha Radha Priya Vishnus Tasyaha Kundam Priyam Tatha Sarvam Gopisa Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Valabha. Just as Srimati Radharani is dear to the Supreme Lord Krishna Vishnu, so her birthing place, Radhakund, is equally dear to Krishna. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as the Lord's most beloved. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should immediately take shelter of Radhakund and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in the 10th verse of Upadeshamrita. Hare Krishna.
Now, go back to the beginning of this paragraph, I'll ask. And what is the gopis' qualification? Why are they recognized as superior?
Because they never forget Krishna at any time.
Well, it doesn't say that. That's true.
They do not expect any returns from Krishna. That's what they say.
Right. They only want to satisfy. And not only do they not expect any return, they don't want any return. But Krishna gives them 10,000 times more pleasure back. And then they feel bad and they want to serve Krishna more. They just want Krishna's pleasure. So we want to come to that platform. Then you can serve in Radhakunda. Otherwise, we can go there and splash water, or take a bath, or, buy some fruit or something. But so the gopis, when Krishna left Vrindavan, and what did the gopis do?
They simply crying in separation of Krishna.
So then they were not actually separated. So if we could have the intense feeling of being separated from Radhakund, we'd actually be there. And that's the transcendental nature of Krishna. The gopis, they would always be waiting for Krishna. They would make garlands every morning and wait for Krishna to come back from the cowherd fields and everything, but he never came. And then many of them, they left their body, or I don't know if they left their body or how, but they also took birth in Dwarka and became wives of Krishna. Rukmini and Satyabhama and others. So by always thinking of Krishna, always chanting Krishna, you're not really separated. But to chant with feeling, like it's mentioned by Kunti Devi, a person is materially satisfied, or he can't chant with feeling. We have to have love for Krishna. And when you have love for Krishna, you can feel separation from Krishna. It's not a light thing. Satchidananda Swami talks about that, But Krishna himself says to know Krishna, we have to hear about Krishna from himself and from the devotees who know Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam, then, and Lord Chaitanya, then we can develop love for Krishna. And eventually we can realize that, I'm separated from Krishna. I'm thinking everything's all right, I've got my deities at home and I've got some prasad. No, but we don't, we have to realize I've left Krishna behind. And then when we really get that desperate feeling, like we all get it sometimes when we lose something. I have personally haven't experienced, but I've seen people who a loved one died, even their dog, they just go crazy. I kind of had that when I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. I had my dog since I was about 6 years old, and he was a puppy and he was my best friend. And when he died, I was really devastated. I was so bewildered. I didn't know where to turn. I had other dogs, but could never, and I sometimes wish I could have such feelings for Krishna, but that we have to know about Krishna, to try to serve Krishna, chant Krishna, be with devotees, and then this natural will come out. Okay, any more comments?
Yes, Maharaj. In the same paragraph, Prabhupada said, even Lord Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took a position. My question to that regard is that Krishna is the all-knowing. He knows everything. There's nothing outside of his knowledge. But how is it possible that Krishna does not understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani?
That's Krishna. Simultaneously one and different. So the Leela is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat, I think. Chaitanya Mangal. That Radharani and Dwarka was talking to Krishna. And she said, there's something you don't understand. You can't, have the proper full understanding. Krishna said, like you said, I know how can that be? I'm full, no, I know everything. And she said, no, you can't understand how much your devotees love you and how they feel, and how Radharani is suffering so much because you're not in Vrindavan. And then Krishna realized that because he's all-knowing, but he's Supreme Lord, but when he's in Vrindavan, he doesn't act like the Supreme all-powerful creator of the universe like Vaikuntha or something. So then he said, okay, I'm going to take this next appearance and I'll take on the mood of Srimati Radharani so I can feel and really understand this love that my devotees have for me. So then he feels it and everything, but that's Krishna. He can do anything. He can seem to be ignorant. He can, this is just something about Krishna. We have to accept the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. Like atheists sometimes ask Prabhupada, can Krishna make something so heavy that he can't lift it? You ever heard that question? Anybody? Somebody said that they thought then if you said, yes, of course, Krishna can do anything, then they'll say, well, then he's not all-powerful because he can't lift what he created. So different times, one time Prabhupada said, yes, and the guy was all like, yeah, and then Prabhupada said, but then he would lift it. First he couldn't lift it, then he would. Another time he said Balaram would lift it. So That's Krishna. He can understand and not understand at the same time. Inconceivable. Now, let's have a look at the last verse, number 11. What? Okay, whoever is talking, I can barely hear. Okay, that's fine with me, but speak loudly. This is Miriam.
Towards the ending of the last paragraph, text 10.
Now I get no. Okay. I heard you at the end. I didn't hear the beginning. You got to speak.
Maharaj,
Right.
yeah, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Now
last paragraph of text 10. It says, therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radha Kund and execute devotional service there throughout one's lifetime. Then my question there is, if in this lifetime one is not opportune to go to Radha Kund, so what is the fate of the person's devotional service this lifetime?
That's what I've been trying to explain over and over again throughout these last couple slokas. It's a matter of consciousness. It's not a physical thing. It's like the gopis, when Krishna left Vrindavan, they were crying and crying always in separation. So actually they were with Krishna. Now how can that be? Krishna wasn't there. But that's Krishna. So it's a matter of consciousness. So not that we have to run off and, get the bus to Radha Kund and then maybe make a fence or something. But we want to develop this separation and love for Krishna and service to the great devotees. Lord Chaitanya, Krishna is appearing everywhere. Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna also. So like Srivas Thakur's house, when they were having the kirtan, it became none different than the rasa dance in Vrindavan. And that was all men. There were no women in the kirtans at Srivas' house, but it was none different than the rasa dance. So that's another, mystery. But that's the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Does that help? Anybody else have a comment? Who's our big scholars? Any big scholars here? Chaitanya Prema, he left, so. Okay, let's read the last one, see if it opens up any more doors. All right? Then we'll go back over the beginning verses. Krishnots Krishyasyoch chai pranayavasati prayasibhyo piradha kundam chasya munibir abitas tadrigeva vyadai ya preshtair apyalam asulabam kim punar bhakti bhajam tat premedam sakritapi sarasnatur aviskaroti. I'm going to go over the word on this one. Krishnasya, of Lord Sri Krishna.
Krishnasya, of Lord Sri Krishna.
Uchai, very highly.
Uchai, very highly.
Pranaya Vasati, object of love.
Pranaya Vasati, object of love.
Pariyasibhya, out of the many lovable gopis.
Prayasibhya, out of the many lovable gopis. Happy, certainly.
Radha, Srimati Radharani.
Radha, Srimati Radharani.
Kundam,
Kunda,
Lake.
Cha, also.
Cha, also.
Asyaha, of her.
Asyaha, of her.
Munibi, by great sages.
Munibi, by great sages.
Abhita, in all respects.
Abhita, in all respects.
Tadrik Eva.
Tadrik Eva, similarly.
Similarly. Vyadai.
Prescribed.
Yat, which.
Yat, which.
Praised high by the most advanced devotees.
By the
most advanced devotees.
Happy, even.
Happy, even.
Enough.
Alam,
enough.
Asula, difficult to obtain.
Asulabam, difficult to obtain.
Kim, what?
Kim, what? Puna, again.
Bhajam.
The place is done.
Bhakti Bhajan for person engaged in devotional service.
That. Prema, love of God.
Prema, love of God.
Idam, this.
Idam, this.
That.
Happy, even.
Happy, even.
Sarah,
Lake.
not to one who is bathed.
Snatu, of one who has bathed.
Aviskaroti, arouses.
Aviskaroti, rosette.
All right. Okay. I'd like to take someone to read that verse. Madan Gopal. Your chance. Read the sloka. Yeah, read the sloka, text 11. Out of many objects.
Okay.
It's not working. No good sound. We need somebody. I think there's. No, it's just echoing. No, stop. The sound is no good. He doesn't hear it. Stop. Madan, stop. It's just coming on. Someone else. Who can speak where we can hear it? Dina Balava?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Perfect. Okay. Read the verse.
Thank you, Maharaj. Translation, text 11. Of the many objects of favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radhakunda is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love for Krishna is fully aroused. Purport. Why is
Okay,
Radhakunda?
so wait. So it's rarely attained, the highest level, but it can be attained by surrendering to Lord Chaitanya. He's giving us this, Krishna prema. But we have to surrender fully, that we're not expecting anything in return from whatever we're doing for Krishna. And we become totally dependent on Krishna, not caring for anything else. That's Radharani, that's the gopis, that's the great devotees. Step by step, if we keep following. But it's not that we just chant our rounds every day and, we go to the temple on Sunday or something. So that we're seriously praying all the time, Krishna win and win. Kabe habe bolo, Sadhi namar, aparada gucci, shudanama ruchi, kripa bolo habe, ride sanchar. When will I be able to chant without offense? When, crying out. Because aparada means against Radharani. Radha means devotion. Aparada means against devotion. Chanting without devotion. Chanting for, whatever other reason we're chanting. And only to please Krishna. And we pray to Radharani for that. Help us, because she's completely merciful. Okay, someone on the paragraph, the first paragraph.
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, who can read next?
Okay.
Rasa, you'd like to read? Okay.
All right.
Rasa Vilas.
Rasa Vilas.
Yes,
So, purport.
One paragraph only.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Purport. Why is Raja Kund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake, Sri Raja Kund, is also described by great sages as the lake that is as dear to Krishna as Raja herself. Indeed, Raja's love for Raja Kunda and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Raja Kunda is very rarely attained, even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional service, not to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean Vaidhi Bhakti is bad, like some people think. It's a consciousness. In the beginning, we're just practicing, because we're assigned or we want to get somewhere. But the same practices of simply chanting the holy name, as we get deeper and deeper into it and realize that the holy name is Krishna, then it becomes Raganuga Bhakti or Raga Bhakti, not Vaidhi anymore. But it looks the same. Raghunath Goswami was chanting japa. Haridas Thakur was chanting japa, but their consciousness was much different than ordinary chanters. Okay, now here's some answer to the questions people have been answering. Who can read the next paragraph?
All right, please, I want to ask a question. Krishna.
Okay.
In the later part of the purport of the translation of the verse, if one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. This will still refer to my question that I asked earlier, that devotees who could not even make the chance to go and visit Raja Kund, how do we get to bathe in this river? Because as stated here, if you take a bath just once, our pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So doesn't mean because we've not taken a bath in Raja Kund, that's why our love for Krishna has not been activated fully. Hare Krishna. Perhaps.
Let's read on and see if the answers come, all right? That's often the way to find answers. Anantacharya can read.
Anantacharya Prabhu, can you unmute?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, very good. Really clear.
First, okay, Maharaj. It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once take birth in Radha Kund. Srila Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the bank of Radha Kund, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is most important items in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes indeed that Sri Radha Kund is the select place for those interested in their devotional service in the wake of the lady friend, Shak, and confidential having maids, manjaris of Sri Rani. Living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental of God, Goloka Vrindavan, by maintaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha there, live at Radhakund, takes check the confidential serving maid of Sri, and under their directions, constantly in his service. This is exalted method for those engaged in devotional under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhaswati Thakur writes that even great and great devotees like Narada do not get to come to Radhakund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary? By great fortune, one gets an opportunity to come to Radhakund and bathe. Even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna, exactly as the gopis did. So recommended that one should live on the banks of Radhakund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material, taking shelter of Sri Radhakund and an assistant gopi. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up, they come back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the bank of Radhakund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhankut and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is difficult position to attain, even for great sages and devotees like Narada. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radhankut. By serving Radhankut, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
So it is very difficult even for Narada Muni. But we shouldn't cry, you know, I have to go there. That should give us this impetus to, you know, want to really, follow the footsteps of the gopis and have no other interest but to please Krishna. No matter what we're doing, you know, we're stuck, many of us, due to our karma or our duty and with the instructions of Guru or whatever. We're not stuck, but we're in a certain place. But the idea is no matter where we are, we have to develop this feelings of separation, this intense desire to do nothing but serve Krishna. Whatever else we're doing, whatever the work is, it can be done for Krishna. So that one, you know, and then eventually something else can happen. So it does say that, you know, again and again, Narada Muni, I think one time he did get to take a bath there. He wanted to see the Rasa dance and they had him somehow take a bath and he became a gopi. Then after that, Krishna told him to stay in Vrindavan. And he said, I can't stay because I'm cursed by Daksha. Can't stay anywhere, only 3 days. Krishna laughed and said that curse is in the material world. In Vrindavan, it doesn't count. So you should stay here and write books. So he stayed not at Radhakundo, but he stayed near Kusum Sarovara. And there's another Kund, Narada Kund. And he wrote Narada Bhakti Sutras and another book. So we've read the whole book. There's much to be discussed. And I have to find out, you know, what kind of exam. Nobody told me any curriculum or anything. So let's go back to the preface, where Prabhupada is explaining, you know, what this book's all about. I'll read first. The Krishna consciousness movement, because we noted in the early slokas, Prabhupada mentioned this Krishna conscious movement many times, that we're being taught how our movement's supposed to be, how we're supposed to manage our movement, what is our situation. Because we're supposed to be Rupa Nugas, following in the footsteps of Rupa. The Krishna conscious movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, or Bengali Vaishnavas, are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur is sung, Rupa Raghunatha Pare Hoibe Akuti, Habe Kama, Kabe Hama Ujaba Se Jugala Piriti. When I am eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Now, Prabhupada told us that he has given in his purports everything that we need to know of the literature of the 6 Goswamis. It's not against the law to read the works of the six Goswamis, like this book, Nectar Devotion, other books. But first we want to make sure our feet are planted in the soil of Srila Prabhupada's purports, so that we won't be pulled out and thrown away and thrown into some kind of cesspool that somebody tells us is, the Prema Bhakta bath or something. It's not going to happen. So when I'm eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, Prabhupada is on the same level. I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes in conjugal love with the gopis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. So that's another thing that not everybody can understand. That Lord Chaitanya, he appeared in the mood of Radharani, and he exhibited, the same incredible feelings of separation. But in the process, he also introduced the Sankirtan movement. He studied Srimad Bhagavatam. He preached all different levels. Therefore, to understand the mission of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis, Sri Rupa, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunath. And we're very fortunate we have Srinivasa Acharya and Sad Goswami Astakam, 8 verses about the Goswamis, which can teach us, what they're really all about. It starts with Krishna Kirtana Gana Natana Paro Premam Ritambo Nidhi. They're always chanting and dancing in the holy name of Krishna. Okay, next paragraph, somebody.
There's somebody who has not read before. Dr. Eli has not read.
We asked him and he didn't respond.
Krishna Maharaj.
Okay, read the next paragraph. Only one paragraph, it's a short one.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis. And to guide our activities, he gave us this Padashamsra, the nectar of instruction to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind the 8 verses known as Shikshataka, Rupa Goswami gave us Upade Samsta, so that we may become pure Vaishnavas. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the mode of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Guna, by following the instruction of Rupa Goswami. And then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Hare Krishna Maharaj, should I continue?
No, it's okay. I think Maharaj said one paragraph, you read 2.
Anybody can comment on that? See, he left 11 verses, not just 2 or 3 about Radhakund. We have to go through them all. We have to work our way up. It's one thing to read it through, but then we should know. We have to be thinking how we act. Okay, you want to keep reading, Ellie? Or? One more paragraph.
Okay, somebody else to read next paragraph. Who has not read before? Prince Akems, can you read?
I was going to
Prince
ask.
Hare
Akems.
Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prince Akems, go ahead.
Okay, in all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is anchored in the mode of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Guna, by following the instruction of Rupa Goswami. And then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Hare Krishna.
Okay. The first duty is to control the mind and senses. Vacho Vegam, Manasroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yovisaheta Dira. You have to control the mind and the senses. Then you become qualified.
Right after this, please.
That's the first verse. And then the next verse is the first 8. They're all about sadhana. And we have to master those, and we have to deeply think about it and understand. Then we can come to Radhakund and really come to. I mean, I've been there. I've walked around. I did Dandabad Parikrama a couple of times, and it was wonderful. But I don't think I really entered into the Radhakund. That I never jumped in. The first time Prabhupada went there with devotees, or I don't know if he went there or he just heard about it. One of the first times there was Parikrama, and the devotees got to Radhakund, and they all jumped in, and they were having swimming races across, and kicking and playing. And Prabhupada was really angry when he heard about that. He said, "You're not qualified. You can't go in." And that's the first thing I heard about Radhakund. So I just took it as like I can never go, although it seems like it's a matter of consciousness that Prabhupada just didn't like that, trying to enjoy Radhakund. That's why we have to be very careful. We were just praying for the mercy of Srimati Radharani to engage us in Krishna's service, get some feelings of love for Krishna. Love means service. So only don't anything else. So one must promote himself to the platform of goodness.
Hey, somebody.
One must promote himself to the platform of goodness by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. Then everything concerning how to make progress will be revealed. We still have to work on trying to come to the mode of goodness. But by Krishna's grace, at the same time, we're transcendental to all the modes. If we're following the Guru and following the daily chanting and the regulative principles, worshiping deities, and reading, this literature. All right, next paragraph.
Techno Common 16. I think he has not said anything. Technos Common 16.
Technos, yeah, never. I don't know who that is. Haven't heard from him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Techno is the name of your phone, right?
Isaac Tinati.
What's your name?
Isaac Tinati.
What is it?
Isaac Tinati.
Okay. Now, somebody has a microphone and a lot of babies crying or something.
Yeah, I'm muting. It kept on muting. I don't know why.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
This is a big paragraph.
Advancement in consciousness depend on the attitude of the followers. The followers of Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Swami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis, by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become must become a Goswami.
Yeah.
Voice is breaking. I think his network is weak.
Yeah, these things are happening. Okay, let's.
Go means the master and mind.
Your line is breaking. I think your network is not strong. So maybe somebody else read.
Someone else. Rati Devi, you have a good connection.
Rati?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Krishna Shakti, who's that? Is that Krishna Shakti that's in America or a different Krishna?
Krishna Shakti is in the
Nigeria, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Can you read Krishna Shakti? The last
Yes,
paragraph.
Maharaj.
Preface.
So,
Advancement in Krishna consciousness. Yes.
Go ahead.
Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. A follower of Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Upadeshamrita, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidaga Madhava, and Lalita Madhava. But Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna.
So there it goes, and that's the end for today. My calculation is we have one more day, right?
Yes, we have one day tomorrow, Maharaj.
Okay, so we're going to have to go over and I'm going to have to find out. So I was asking everybody to please learn the 6 pushings and the 6 favorable and the 6 unfavorable and the 6 exchanges, because that's the basis of, getting to where we want to go. And it's very simple. And then a few other things also come afterward. So thank you all very much for your enthusiasm. It's purifying your country. I hope everything's all right in Nigeria. It doesn't seem like so bad. Salika, you have that beautiful river behind you and everything. Where'd you get that?
It's a Vrindavan.
This picture,
yeah. That was.
Hare Krishna. Mayapur. It's taken Mayapur.
The Jalangi and Ganga coming together. Completely different. I have the same picture, but I have it also, but it's a different angle. Yours is.
Yes. The same.
I don't know where all those buildings are coming from. No, this is the Ganga and I can't remember it's in the Himalaya where the Alakandini and another river come together to form the Ganga. That's what that is. It looks similar to this. But you see all those buildings that I went there one time. Very high-speed water. And when you go in for baths, you have to hold on to a chain. Okay. Thank you all very much. Everybody chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, how is Accra?
Let everybody come early tomorrow. Maharaj has given us an
We are
assignment.
okay.
I'm in Accra at the moment.
Let us all come early tomorrow, and then let us not disappoint Maharaj. He has invested so much time in us. Let us all try to revise the verses from the text 1 to 11, and then be able to make him feel happy that he has given us some blessings. That's the only way we can reward him, by showing that we have learned what he has taught us. So I'm requesting the devotees to please let us all go back, and within today and tomorrow, let us all try to memorize and then read the text and the purports once again, and then try to give Maharaj pleasure service. This is a pleasure for giving us his time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Rasai, will you be in the temple tomorrow?
Yes, I am doing a project at the Takwari Technical University. I'm not done yet, but if I should finish early tonight, I will take off and then get to early morning.
Okay. You are not certain.
All right.
You have a day down.